Hello, Simon.
Hello, Lisa.
I thought I would change my my tune a little bit.
Change your
Um,
tone today?
yeah. How are you doing? I'm feeling cozy with my little sweater mug.
Oh my
Yay!
goodness. So am I. It's like this is the first cold days we've had in a long
it
time.
it's true. I think we had a frost notice
Uh,
last night. It was cold.
So I have to say these little mugs, they give me great pleasure because I bought them for the team a few years ago at
Yep.
Roku, right? For the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. And everyone just eyes light up and
I
they're just like, and it was like, oh, I feel like, for thank you Target for like a great thing, and people still have them. I keep hearing about the sweater mug. So good
I
job,
love it.
whoever did this.
It brings me such joy, and I love that I can it's sweater weather now, so I
I
love that I
know
can pull it out and my little mug can get a sweater as well.
it gets so much. I keep it on my bookshelf in my office
Normally.
because it gives me pleasure because it makes me think of the team, but
Mhm.
also so many people comment on it. So speaking of comments, we've
Yes.
actually
Oh,
started getting some questions in our Ask a Host from the website. We are
ask
here to
the
answer
host, just to be
hosts.
clear.
Yeah, you
The
can ask
the.
the hosts. But anyway, we're here to answer questions. So if any of these questions trigger more questions, or if any of our episodes trigger questions, feel free to visit itsmostlymarketing.com, click on Ask the Hosts,
Yep.
and let us know what you're thinking about, what you're wondering, anything.
And I want to mention we're also trying out this thing where you can leave a voice recording, which is
Hmm.
great because then you can actually, you don't have to listen to us talking the whole time. It'll be you. And so that's also another option in the Ask the Hosts page. So you can fill out a form or you can use that, click on that recording and yeah,
And
we'll
maybe
hear
and
your
maybe we'll actually include it in the episode,
exactly.
So why don't we jump to one of the questions? So hi Simon and Lisa, your episode on marketing essentials was eye-opening. This listener said they started mapping out their marketing strategy, but she says, however, I'm struggling to connect the dots between my target audience and my marketing funnel. While I know my ideal customer is a busy professional woman aged 30 to 45, I can't seem to move them from awareness to consideration in my funnel.
Okay.
Yeah, my wellness coaching business. Okay, so
Okay.
that's what she
At least
does.
I was wondering. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, we need a little more context.
she
Okay.
gets a lots of initial interest, but few free consultation bookings.
Hmm.
Okay. How can I better align my audience and understanding with my audience understanding with my funnel strategy? So I think, what are your sort of gut reactions to this?
Well, I always recommend almost like a journey mapping where you think through the different stages that your target audience might be going through. What are the messages that you're giving these people along the
Hmm.
way?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
and then we've always talked about measurement. So where are they dropping off? Because it did they say from the kind of awareness they just can't get them past that? Is that right? Do I
Yeah,
remember that correctly?
and what's interesting is she said she gets a lot of initial interest, but I don't know if that's like word of mouth or social or web. So you're right.
Site visits, right, could be
Yeah,
site visits. And my thought is perhaps people are just not ready to make that commitment, even if it is a free consultation. Maybe they need a little bit more. So maybe the interstitial step is to collect email addresses by offering something else that's, here's a blog, and you have a bunch of different articles that are free without giving their email address. But if you can get their email address to be able to give them even more valuable content, an ebook or
right.
something like that. Or what are you have some other thoughts on what like a hook
Well,
might be
uh,
before a free consultation?
yeah, maybe the maybe make sure the consultation doesn't feel overwhelming, right? It's 15 minutes or it's half an hour or it can be done over the phone or Zoom. Like you don't, because it's a wellness coach, right? Someone may be uncomfortable. They have to, I feel like that's something where you want rapport. And so, like you said,
Yeah.
having education content in the form of a blog post or things about who you are helps somebody sort of feel more comfortable and builds your business and personal brand.
And maybe there's like not a checklist, but some sort of a guide that would be a precursor to what somebody can expect with a consultation.
Mm,
And so maybe it's something that's like, these are the things that we'll discuss. Maybe you give a questionnaire ahead of time just so that they could see the types of things that get covered so that they know what to expect, even if it is 15 minutes. And maybe that is a requirement as well. Fill this out before you make a consultation so we know we're a good fit.
yeah, again, we're sort of figuring this out with a little bit of information, but
Right.
it may be that um, what is this business owner's goal? Like, how many people are when she does get a free consultation? Is it like 95% of the people sign up with her, or is it
Hmm.
only 50%? Because you, again, to your point about journey mapping and thinking about the funnel, you have to figure out uh, if you need X number of bookings to fill your
Yeah.
time or
Schedule.
to make the dollars that you want to make out of this business, then you work backwards from that as well.
Yep. That's good.
I
Okay.
think the only other thing I would say just be sure that the barriers are low for each step, even if they're baby steps, right?
Yep. Good call.
Yeah.
And then again, make
Um,
sure you measure everything. So yeah, make
absolutely.
sure you measure everything. Should we get to our next question?
Yeah, so the next question is somewhat related because again, it talks a little bit about target audience and things like that. This is a owner of a coffee shop. It's a family-run business. They have 3 locations. They've
Mm-hmm.
been working to understand their target audience, but they feel like their customers are different at each location, despite the locations not being very far apart. They say a few miles. So the question they're asking is, how can they adapt or do they adapt their marketing funnel and messaging to cater to each of these audiences? And while they do that, maintaining a cohesive brand, this person says, it feels like I'm running 3 different marketing strategies. So,
Yeah. Well, it's always good to customize, personalize, that's a better word. Personalize things to your target audience. And even if they're close to each other, but maybe there's things that certain neighborhoods, I don't know, language wise could use. It's funny though. Like what maybe it yeah. Like I'm trying to think of what are the things that are so different with these people. Maybe some people are they're commuters on their way to work and so they have a certain kind of persona and then other people are like they're closer to they've retired and they come in a little later and they, hang out with their friends and have coffee or so different things might be important to these different people. So I would say you might need to even have different offers potentially to try to bring them in. So we've talked about Starbucks. You used to do that treat receipt to try to get some of those morning coffee commuter people back in the afternoon. They would offer a discount if you had your receipt from the morning.
mhm.
What are your thoughts, Simon?
Well, I was thinking one thing is sort of up leveling your message. So if they feel like you're running 3 different
Mm.
marketing strategies, are they really different strategies? Or are you just talking about different offers, like you were saying?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point.
Right. Strategically, I think you need to say, we're a coffee shop. We cater to even if people are demographically different, unless there's like a huge difference in, let's say, income.
Hmm.
I don't think that applies necessarily, but there's might be a community where a $10 latte doesn't go over well, but where somewhere else it does, or it's your bakery items, whatever you add. So I was thinking if you could step up a little higher, take your message, make sure your message is higher and speak to maybe all your audiences, but in a sort of cohesive way, right? And to use a buzzword, inclusive way. I think about this restaurant that I like to go to, and their restaurant name, and then it's followed by natural, wild, and organic, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
you can imagine that you fit into one of those three buckets. Natural, you're looking for just fresh and whatever experience. And wild, you're looking for spices and something unique and something zippy. And organic sort of says, well, this is clean food. This is it's grown in a healthy way or prepared in a healthy way. And I think that um, that's a great strategy to hit different audiences, but really be one company and one brand, right? So maybe they can do that. Mix together the fact that coffee is about caffeinating, and coffee is about community, and coffee is about
Something
something
else
else.
that begins with a C.
Yeah, I love alliterations,
I
right?
do
You love
too.
you love checklists, and I love alliteration.
I
So,
love alliterations. I love puns too, and
well, of
emojis.
course. All right, simmer down. Why don't you do we have another question?
Yeah, I can ask the last one. Um, I've implemented several of your suggestions, particularly the site structure tips and SEO basics.
Okay.
Now I'm seeing increased traffic, but I'm not sure my lead magnet is working as well as it could, which there's more to this question, but sidebar marketing, we have to talk about that in case people haven't listened to that episode. I created an ebook guide for first-time home buyers. I'm a mortgage broker, but while my website traffic has doubled, my download rate is only 2%. Could you help me understand if there's a disconnect between my traffic driving strategies and my lead magnet? Should I create different lead magnets for different traffic sources? That's a lot of things. Let's try to break these down a little bit at a time.
Well, yeah. Why don't we
What's
talk
your
about?
initial thought? Yeah, you go.
Well, I was just just to make sure everyone's clear. We talk about in episode 10 what lead magnets are, and those are essentially things that you can give someone. Usually, it's a digital asset. It's like Lisa said. This person wrote an ebook guide for first-time home buyers. But basically, when you're collecting someone's name and address and phone number and email to get them into your funnel of subscribers or potential prospects for your business, it's good to offer in exchange something of value. And in this case, it's this ebook. That's the lead magnet. So, and this person says they're a mortgage broker. So ultimately, I think their goal is to become your broker, right? For the next loan or maybe a refinance or something like that. I think I would look at a couple different things. It gets back to an earlier point about mapping the journey and
Hmm.
making sure that as you look at your analytics, that each step of your funnel or to your lead magnet are working, right? That there's no broken links, that there's no disconnect in the offer and the message. Like sometimes I've been to a website and it offers something and you click and that doesn't exist. It happened to me the other day. I got an email about these things that were on Black Friday special. They were offering the friends and family 20% off. At least two of the items I clicked through on were not eligible for the 20% off. So it's like, it felt really, I was like, that's rude. Like,
Yeah, it is rude.
um,
No,
because
that's
I
what
wanted to.
not to do. We'll have to have
Exactly.
episodes of what not to do.
So those are the kind of things I would look at again in my analytics, but just put myself in that person's shoe clicking through. Maybe your first time homebuyers thing, you just need something a little more, maybe it's about how you position it, right? It's like, don't stress over being a first time buyer, get the answers you need, right? Or I don't know, what else would you say?
Well, I'm looking back at the question again. It says, while my website traffic has doubled, my download rate is only 2%. Now, um, something that is plausible is that you're not tracking appropriately. So that's a thing. Like sometimes if you're
Mhm.
like, this doesn't seem right, and if there's like if it doesn't like
Good
pass
point.
the sniff test, you like investigate that, like confirm you actually are tracking that download appropriately. Because if maybe you're not, and so then you're missing it, but like maybe ads are capturing it, nothing else is for some reason. So that's just as a little side note that I just want to make sure that you know that
No,
you're
it's a
actually capturing that directly.
that's a good point.
Um,
The other thing that I was thinking is that is your traffic might have doubled, but is it really qualified? And
that's true too.
you can take a look by first, what are the search terms? You need to have a tool usually, but you can figure out what search terms are being used to drive people to your website, right? Maybe they're the wrong terms, you know? Maybe
Mm,
for some reason you're getting people who are all about refinancing and not about first time buying, but they end up,
mhm.
so people search for refinance, they end on your site. They're not going to be interested in a first time home buyer's guide. So to your point, maybe you do need different lead magnets, right? You need to look at your SEO search terms. Um,
What are
and
some of the tools that you recommend for people to find that out?
unfortunately, there's not a lot of free tools. I mean, there is Google has some Google Trends and things, but it won't tell you specifically for your site. Whereas you could do something with a product called SEMrush. You could also talk to like us, like a small marketing people usually have a tool set that they could share, give you at least an audit of what's happening with your SEO. What would you suggest there?
Well, what does Google do? Site,
Well, Search
what's it called?
Console. Search
Search
Console.
Console. That's what I was thinking. That's free, right?
That's free if you're yes using Google Analytics.
Yeah,
I
and
think you
that
can log
can
into
give
that.
you a little bit of insight. And then Google Trends, where I can't remember if we've touched on this before, but I think it's literally trends.google.com. If you're like, I want to know how many people are searching on first time home buying or
Right.
something, and then
Or
it'll show you how many people are searching on that. So it's not about your site, it's about you can narrow
popularity.
it down. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
narrow it down by region. If you're like, I only care about, California, then you can narrow it down by region as well.
Yeah, that's a good point because I would imagine mortgage brokers are probably licensed in certain states and things like that. So
Yep.
you
Yep.
would want
Good
to look
point.
at your data. Again, it goes back to your data, looking at it filtered by visitors for California or wherever you are. Um,
And maybe you can get
what
some
else would you do?
insights. Yeah, I was just thinking maybe you could get some insights from Google Analytics as well. And we keep using Google Analytics. There are other tools out there. We just know that this is free, so that's what we always are citing. So whatever your website analytics tool is that you're using, see maybe if you notice any trends of maybe your demographics or maybe maybe there's a technical glitch where people that are coming to your site from a certain operating system or a certain device, they can't see it. Maybe they physically don't have the ability to download.
Right.
Maybe you need a mechanism. If they can they download it from their phone? If they can't, maybe you also need to have a shortened form and then you email them the link later and
Right.
then you
Good
capture their
point.
information later too.
Right.
Yeah. I
Checking that you're mobile friendly is really critical.
Yeah, I think I'm talking about more technical things, which to me are not as interesting. Like, I mean, but it's part of it. It's like you got to make sure that these things
Well,
are everything's working.
so the other
Yeah.
thing you mentioned is or we focus here, sorry, on SEO, right? So
Hmm.
we're assuming this person's just looking at organic, but something else they could do is try going into social, and where social, you actually have more control over the message. So you could post different
Mm,
posts about with different sort of positioning, different call to action. See which of those gets you more downloads of your first time buyer guide, and then leverage that learning to maybe your homepage, maybe if you're doing email.
yep.
Again, all these things have to work together.
Hmm.
Relying on organic is great, but you've got to have a method to test it. And organic is not really testable. If you're willing to spend a little bit of money, you can also test terms and things through paid
Hmm.
search, right?
Yep.
So, but again, there's somewhat of a cost there, and there's also a little overhead. So
I do want to mention something. So you're talking about paid search. If anybody listening is from a nonprofit, I serve on a nonprofit board, and I learned that
mhm.
Google offers a $10,000 a month grant that is for search ads specifically.
Wow.
And no kidding. And it takes a little bit to get it up and running. Like you have to be 501c. Is that what's called? 503c.
50 yeah,
Three nonprofit, and there's some other
503c.
things, but yeah, if you do a search for Google Ad Grant nonprofits, like there's a whole thing about things for nonprofits.
Good to
It's
know.
great. Well, the thing, like I went through this whole thing and I'm like, oh, we're going to do display ads, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And then it kept not working and I didn't know why. So I kind of scoured the internet, and then through random people saying they had the same problem, somebody finally said, oh, you can only use it for search. And I was like, well, that would have been nice if I knew that. So it is. So that has its limits because people are not searching for something that they've never heard of. So you have to be a little bit creative. So that was just a little bit of a side note. And nobody in this, and none of our listeners ask questions that they're not a nonprofit, but I just want to mention that because it's a nice little tip.
Well, and I think, you know what, it's I always feel like this time of year too, for a lot of nonprofits, are people are in the giving mood, right? And
Yep.
so if you're somebody who supports charities, or or like Lisa said, you are the nonprofit, maybe figure out how you can help them too as a marketer with their marketing. That's giving back. I like that. It's very, very on point with the holiday season of giving. So good point. I'm glad you
Okay.
said that.
Well, I think that is what we
Yeah,
have for today.
if you, like I said at the beginning, have questions for Lisa and I, if there are questions about our shows or just in general, marketing, digital marketing, strategy type of questions, feel free to go to itsmostlymarketing.com and click on Ask the Hosts at the top in the navigation. And you can leave us a text form message, or you can record, as Lisa said. So
Yes. From tangents to tactics, it's mostly marketing.
check out the description for more resources, or visit itsmostlymarketing.com to learn more about marketing and about Lisa and I. Let us know in the comments what areas of marketing you'd like us to cover.
And big favor, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, or write a review to help us get the word out. If you know someone who might find this helpful, please share it with them. Thanks for tuning in.